It was a bright summer afternoon in the 1980s, and 25-year-old real estate agent Suzy Lamplugh had a full day of appointments lined up. She headed out in the afternoon to show a property to a new client, a routine part of her job. Except this was the last time Suzy would ever be seen. Where did she go, and who did she meet? Everything remains shrouded in mystery. Let's explore what most likely happened to Suzy Lamplugh. Suzy Lamplugh was born on May 3, 1961, in England and grew up in South London. Her father was a lawyer and her mother ran a fitness company. Suzy was the eldest of 3 siblings, and her family was known for their strong values and close-knit relationships. Before becoming an estate agent, Suzy worked as a beautician on the Queen Elizabeth II liner. This experience likely honed her interpersonal skills and adaptability, traits that would later serve her well in her real estate career. She eventually joined Sturgis Estate Agents in Fulham, London, where she quickly made a name for herself as a diligent and charming agent. Suzy was described by her father, Paul Lamplugh, as a vivacious young lady with a zest for life. She was known for her friendly and outgoing personality, which made her popular among her colleagues and clients. Her diary entries, as mentioned in various accounts, reveal a young woman who was enthusiastic about her job and life in general. Suzy had a close-knit group of friends and a supportive family. She shared a flat in Putney with a male flatmate. Her apartment's close proximity to her workplace was convenient for her. Her daily life was filled with the routine of her job as an estate agent. She would often meet clients to show properties, and her office diary meticulously recorded these appointments. In her diary, Suzy noted the challenges of her job, particularly the aspect of being alone with strangers. She wrote about being placed at the window desk because she was considered the most attractive female, highlighting the vulnerabilities she faced in her line of work. In the days leading up to her disappearance, Suzy's life seemed normal. However, there were some unusual incidents. For instance, 3 days before she vanished, she visited the Prince of Wales pub in Putney, where a few things in her handbag went missing. The landlord later found the items and informed Suzy, who later collected them. The disappearance. On July 28, 1986, Suzy left her office at Sturgis Estate Agents in Fulham, London, around 12:40 p.m. to meet a client known only as Mr. Kipper at 37 Shorrolds Road, Fulham. It wasn't far from her office. She carried the keys to the property and £15, but left her handbag in the car. According to her notes, Mr. Kipper had specifically requested to meet outside the property. However, there was no phone number or any other details related to Mr. Kipper in her notes. Some witnesses reported seeing a well-dressed couple getting into a car. Other witnesses also saw a couple matching their description, but there were many conflicting accounts. The last confirmed sighting of Suzy was around 1 p.m. outside the property on Shorrolds Road. The police began canvassing the area where she was last seen and reviewing any available CCTV footage. Later on the night of July 20th, Suzy's car, a Ford Fiesta, was found near a for-sale property. Her purse, containing her credit cards, was in the vehicle. The car was found unlocked, but the keys were missing. Peculiarly, the driver's seat was pushed back, as if a tall person had been driving. When Suzy failed to return to the office or attend another scheduled appointment, her employer reported her missing to the police around 6:45 p.m. The police launched an immediate investigation, starting with interviews of Suzy's colleagues, friends, and family. Both her boyfriend and flatmate were questioned by the police after her disappearance, but had solid alibis. Witnesses reported seeing someone arguing with a man inside a car right next to where Suzy's car was found. The man was in a black BMW with a left-hand drive. Sadly, with no further leads, Suzy was declared dead in 1993. The prime suspect, according to police, was a man named John Cannon. He was interviewed in the years following her disappearance and again in the 2000s. However, due to insufficient evidence, the police decided not to charge John Cannon. The biggest obstacle was the inability to find Suzy's body. In the aftermath of Suzy's disappearance, her parents Paul and Diana Lamplugh founded the Suzy Lamplugh Trust to advocate for personal safety and lone working policies. Their experience led to the establishment of the Suzy Lamplugh Trust, which aimed to improve personal safety and advocate for victims of stalking and harassment. Despite numerous investigations and searches over the years, Suzy's body has never been found. Recent searches, including a 2018 search at a property previously owned by Cannon's mother, have not yielded any conclusive evidence. The case remains one of the most perplexing unsolved mysteries in British history. John Cannon's involvement. The most evidence-based theory is that John Cannon was responsible for Suzy's disappearance. Cannon's history of violent crimes, including rape and murder, and his proximity to the area where Suzy was last seen, make him a likely suspect. His former girlfriends have come forward with statements suggesting he might have been involved, although he has consistently denied any wrongdoing. Stalking and abduction. Another theory is that Suzy was stalked and abducted by someone who had been watching her. The incident at the Prince of Wales pub 3 days before her disappearance, where items from her handbag went missing, could suggest that she was being followed or targeted. A few hours after her disappearance, there were 2 unknown phone calls to the Prince of Wales pub in Putney, where Suzy had visited 3 days earlier. The first call was from a woman identifying herself as Sarah, who left a phone number. Later, a man claiming to be a policeman asked if the pub had Suzy's diary and checkbook. The police confirmed that the man was not a genuine officer, and the identity of Sarah remains unknown. These mysterious phone calls further suggest that someone might have been trying to cover their tracks or mislead investigators. Random attack. A less likely theory is that Suzy was the victim of a random attack. However, the details of her disappearance, including the altercation with a man outside the property and the mysterious phone calls, suggest that it was a planned and premeditated act. Cover story theory. Another speculative theory put forward by an ex-detective suggests that Suzy might have used the Mr. Kipper alias as a cover for going somewhere else. This theory proposes that Suzy may have planned to meet someone or go somewhere under the guise of a work appointment. This would mean that the Mr. Kipper meeting was a ruse to avoid suspicion. However, this theory lacks concrete evidence and is more of a speculative idea, as it seems out of character for Suzy. Worker at QE2 liner. Another theory speculates that the killer might be a man who worked with Suzy on the Queen Elizabeth II liner. He was convicted of killing 5 women in just 2 weeks. However, police say there is no connection between that man and Suzy. There are many key points that support the theory that John Cannon was involved in Suzy's disappearance. The first piece of supporting evidence is that Cannon was released from prison just 3 days before Suzy's disappearance, and he was known to be in the area around Fulham where Suzy resided. Interestingly, Cannon's nickname in prison was Mr. Kipper, which matches the name of the client Suzy was supposed to meet. Cannon also had a history of violent crimes, including rape and murder. He committed his first offense at the age of 14. Later in life, he attacked his first wife, robbed a gas station, and attacked a store employee. For committing these crimes, he was arrested and served 8 years in prison, followed by 5 years of probation. He was sent to a halfway house near where Suzy was living. Coincidentally, John had been released from prison just 3 days before Suzy went missing. The prison he was released from was only 3 miles away from Suzy's real estate office. He was even spotted visiting a for sale house in Fulham a few days before Suzy's disappearance. Witnesses also saw John peering into a window of the office where Suzy worked. The police made sketches of the man who was seen with Suzy on July 28th, which strongly resemble Cannon. Suzy also received flowers in the days leading up to her disappearance. John was also seen driving around in a BMW that matched the description of the car Suzy was seen in. When interviewed by the police, Cannon had already been convicted of a crime similar to Suzy's case. Moreover, he had no alibi for the day Suzy went missing. In October 1987, he kidnapped and murdered 29-year-old Shirley Banks. One of his former girlfriends, Gilly Page, reported that he had spoken about Suzy's case and mentioned that her body was buried at Norton Barracks. However, she later retracted this statement. Another ex-girlfriend, Daphne Sargent, also believed that Cannon was responsible for Suzy's disappearance and mentioned similar details about the burial site. The mysterious phone calls to the Prince of Wales pub suggest that someone might have been trying to mislead investigators. These calls could be linked to Cannon's modus operandi. Witnesses reported seeing Suzy in an altercation with a man outside the property on Shorrolds Road, which could indicate that she was being confronted by her abductor. The description of the man and the timing of the event support the claim that Cannon was the aggressor. Cannon had a car he once used with the number plate SLP 386S. Authorities believe it stands for Suzy's name and the year she disappeared, further supporting his involvement. Despite multiple interrogations, Cannon has consistently denied any involvement, but the police have named him as their prime suspect. The police even held a press conference in 2002 to name Cannon as the man solely responsible for Suzy's death. Given these points, the theory that John Cannon was responsible for Suzy Lamplug's disappearance and presumed murder is the most plausible and widely supported by evidence. As of now, Cannon is in prison serving 3 consecutive life sentences. He would have been eligible for parole in 2023, but on October 9, 2023, the parole board denied his release.